what are the key points you consider when deciding to deploy your workloads on ECS, what I call ECS Classic or ECS on EC2, and ECS Fargate, which is the serverless version of ECS. So before I get to that directly, I just do want to point out, if you go to YouTube, we have a Cloud Posse explains on ECS, on EC2 versus ECS Fargate on costs, where I think we cover a lot of these interesting topics. But yeah, let's see if anything new comes out of this right off the bat. One thing I'd like to point out is that, which was already raised, let me bring over the Slack conversation here. Some replies here by Darren Cunningham, which is like, yeah, a big one. Like when you're dealing with EC2s, you are responsible for the AMI and the OS and patching and updating that. You're responsible for the update of that EC2. And yes, day 0, day 1, you brought that machine up quick. You're on EC2. Perhaps your costs are apparently lower because you're doing that. But the long-term cost of that, when you factor in the OS and patching and waking up on Christmas Eve to, restore that server, maybe some of those things counteract the cost savings there. Other considerations for going the EC2 route is if you need to install like host hardening or OS level tools that are dictated by somebody outside of your pay grade, and you have no control over, then maybe you need to go the EC2 route. There are also a number of limitations on ECS Fargate, which you need to be aware of to determine which way to go. Many of those have been addressed now. I believe you can use EFS, for example, with Fargate as well, and that wasn't possible for a long time. What are some of the pros and cons that you guys see between ECS on EC2 and ECS on Fargate?
I flexed and just linked to my reInvent talk. Scaling speed also has an impact. This is usually apparent when you're running a bunch of containers, but Fargate can scale up usually faster and in a more cost-efficient way. But that depends on what metric you're scaling, what kind of CloudWatch math you have to do, how predictable that is, and so on and so forth. And also, I want to highlight the fact that what Darren said, Fargate has Spot, and Fargate Spot has really, really, really good pricing.
Yeah, that is cool too. Which was, I mean, it didn't come out with Spot. It's one of the relatively newer things.
Yeah. EKS on Fargate does not support Spot yet.
Yeah.
ECS on Fargate does support Spot.
Yeah, one of the other limitations I was going to say, and you just had it on that screen as you scroll by it, is that it's not available in every region.
Okay.
So depending on where you are and where you need to run workloads, you might not actually be able to use Fargate.
All right, very cool. Also, I guess, well, on the ECS task size, could one say that that's a limitation when you're using Fargate, that you're limited to the maximum size of an ECS container?
Which is smaller than a Lambda container from a CPU perspective. So for Fargate, you can get up to 4 CPUs and 30 or 32 gigs of RAM. For Lambda, you can get up to 6 CPUs, which is a tiny bit embarrassing for Fargate. You also don't get GPU support right now. You don't get to pick ARM instances. You don't get dedicated network pipes. So if you're doing something that's network intensive, like 100 gigabit network pipe is required, you're gonna pick EC2s.
And
if your workload can fit in
those
Fargate,
limitations don't exist when you're on EC2s, you're saying?
You can tweak them. Yeah, you can get EC2s with GPU support. Using GPUs in containers, you cannot split a GPU, but you can use it in a very stable way. You can get EC2s with dedicated network pipes and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So there you have it. I think that was a pretty good breakdown of some of the considerations, not focusing strictly on cost savings, but also some of the technical decisions to be aware of there. David, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Any other question related to this question? We'll get to the next one in a second. Did we cover the key points there to consider?
Yeah.
EC2 versus Fargate? Okay.
Yeah, definitely. You guys covered like most of the pros and cons on this decision making.
Okay.
For sure.
Let's get to the next one here. So what would make you pick Fargate even though it's more expensive when running the tasks 24/7? So this is, again, I think this highly relates to that YouTube video on comparing the costs. And when you factor in the human cost, when you factor in the opportunity cost, when you factor in all the other costs associated with this, I think one can make it. You can make a case for whatever you want to make a case for. In the end, what do you prefer to do, and then build a case for it. So
right, yeah, it makes sense. In this case, I prefer Fargate. I just wanted to have like more elements to make that case.
More ammunition, yeah, to bring it up. I would say the biggest things there are what was mentioned there is that if you amortize the human cost for you making and patching these updates, outages related to that, and the impact on those on business, and you factor that into the tens of thousands a year, I think you'll quickly see that the benefits are washed away.